Perfect.
Right, welcome everyone to today's Live Well Live webinar from us, the Boots Online Doctor Lifestyle Medicine team. We are thrilled to be here as always, talking about holistic long-term weight loss. So really giving you those pointers to support a really uh, successful and long-term weight loss journey. And we, as ever, will give you a short presentation followed by opening up the floor to question and answer from you. Um, so do, if you've come already with questions, do pop them in the Q&A box, which is at the bottom of your screen. You should be able to see that. It's easier for us to find your questions in that Q&A box rather than in the chat box. The chat box is open for general chat, and we'll be asking you questions along the way. My name is Dr. Samantha Wellapilly. I am a GP. I'm also a nutritionist and a yoga therapist and a coach, and interested in all things holistic and really making this weight loss journey a success for each and every one of you. And I'm joined today by my colleague Ruth, who will say hello also.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ruth Taylor. Great to be here with you today. I'm a nutritionist with Boots Online Doctor, also a registered nurse and health and wellness coach. We love being here on a Monday, and really the whole purpose in us being here is to support you on your weight loss journeys, and also for those of you who are in maintenance to support you through that maintenance phase, because we know that can also be quite an interesting, if not slightly challenging time. So a very warm welcome to you all. We're joined today by our colleague Adma, who is helping us and sharing any resources that we would like to share or any IT queries that we come along with on the journey. So just to remind you, if you do have any medically orientated questions that sit outside of the construct of a webinar, we will direct you back to the best person to support you with those. But other than that, we love to take your questions. And we're going to start by checking in with you and seeing how you've been over the last week. And we're talking all about food and what to eat last week. And we had lots of interest around protein and thinking about meal planning. So, how did you get on? What's been going on for you, and how has your week been? We've also got our first poll to share with you. And just for anyone who's not aware of the polls, this is really about us understanding where you're at the moment. There is no comment, no criticism, it's just an awareness. And also, we have no idea who is answering what. It just gives us some insight into how everybody's feeling that's joining us today. So please put any comments you'd like to share in the chat box. I can see some long information. Thank you very much to Hannah. And we'll have a look at your comments and see if we can give you any direction. But if anybody else has any sort of suggestions, I'm completed week one. I'm feeling good. Well done to Jennifer. But yeah, you don't have to be on a weight loss medication to join us, just to get that out there. It can be for anyone on this journey at all. So let's have a look, Sam. What's going on? Gosh, lots of across the board. Feeling hardest right now. It's a good question, isn't it? What's feeling?
Yeah, and I think it's good for this time of year, isn't it? January can be a funny time. I think it's a
Yeah.
very, for me anyway, very reflective time to sort of look back on the year past and what do I want in the future? And is it this brand new start, new year, new me, or is it, well, what happens to the old me if this is all new? Anyway, reflective questions. So it can affect our motivation and how we're feeling. And today is all about mindset. So this is a really good place for us to start. We're also going to ask you about where you are on your journey because we want to try and make sure that if we've got any maintainers here or people who are just starting or right in the middle of their journey, that we are able to provide relevant content for all of you. Um, but looking at your answers, we've got a lot of people feeling a bit stuck, low energy, that motivation suffering a little bit. But we've got lots of people actually doing pretty well. So maybe getting that sort of January, you know, boost of new beginnings. So thank you for letting us know. Again, no judgment. This is just an awareness. Where are we? How are we doing? Staying consistent is also a big one there. So um, yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's good for each of us to sort of reflect on these things as well. Are we and how can we move forward?
I think and every day can be different content, and actually every minute of every
Every
day.
moment to moment can be different, and that's
Yeah,
okay. And
exactly.
that's actually acknowledging that we do, things do change moment to moment, and you know, having awareness and being kind to ourselves in every moment, wherever we are, wherever we sit on this scale.
Exactly. And it's not, even though in your mindset you might want one thing, actually life can derail us even in January. So I think being kind to ourselves, really important. Whatever the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's begin with our slides. So mindset is a vital component of our weight loss journey. And what we can sort of think about is these sort of two broad categories: a growth mindset, um, a flexible mindset, really looking at weight loss and looking at that long-term result rather than the quick fix. So we can look at mindset as the lens through which you view challenges, opportunities, and growth. And we can think of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. A growth mindset being one where you believe you can learn and improve, and a fixed mindset being one where you're either good at something or bad at something, and that is fixed, as it would suggest. Okay, so it's really essential to look at that flexible mindset, one that can learn and develop and grow through the process on a weight loss journey, because we know it's a long-term journey. We know that there will always be ups and downs, as there is with any process of transformation. And we know that there will be a consistent effort required. However, that effort, as habits change, as you change, as the journey continues, the it's really front loading with this project, isn't it? It's really like the effort goes in at the beginning and then it becomes easier and easier. And then you form habits and then, it's 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 that consistency that's important. So a positive mindset helps maintain motivation even when progress may seem slow or you encounter setbacks. Okay. So instead of viewing a slip up on your healthy lifestyle changes as failure, a growth mindset would reframe that as a learning opportunity. So what happened? What led to that setback, that slip up? Um, um, for example, you might have had a slice of cake because you were feeling upset. What could you do differently? Next time that an upset happens, what other things will bring you comfort? So really, practically, what this means is not looking at things as failures. We are looking at these things when things don't go the way we intended, we're looking at these as learning opportunities. And we want to surround ourselves with positive influences and cultivate gratitude for wherever we are on our journey, focusing on that long-term success rather than quick fixes. Because we know that the quick fix mentality, we know it doesn't really yield the results that we want for the long term. Remember that weight loss and weight maintenance are part of the same journey. The skills you're learning today are just as important for staying well as they are for losing weight. Um, and a lot of people will worry that if they relax, they'll regain weight. Others worry that they'll have to stay on track forever. And these thoughts are really common, and they're exactly where that flexible mindset helps, because we have to remember, we have real lives. We have, celebrations. We have Christmas, we have Easter, or what have you, where these, traditionally we might um, slip up, let's say, or there's a lot of temptation around, but this will always be the case. So we need to have our strategies. We need to have that kindness towards ourselves, perhaps thinking here about that 80-20 rule. So we're not absolutely rigid with everything, that we have that flexibility. We don't feel afraid to say have that piece of birthday cake at your child's birthday party. I mean, this is a celebration. It's something to enjoy, not to be afraid of. So we're keeping our mindset positive and we're keeping our mindset flexible.
Yeah, such a crucial thing. I think otherwise we just get derailed so quickly. You know, people think,
Because that life of restriction is very hard. If we're 100% restrict, 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 it feels like punishment. It feels like we're putting ourselves in some kind of prison. So we have to have some kind of flexibility that will work for us and work for our lifestyle and our, our our job, our work, our family life, all of those things that need to slot together. And we have to enjoy ourselves as well. We can't sort of put ourselves in this funny
And if
weight loss prison.
something unexpected comes along that we weren't planning, and we're so hell bent on everything being perfect, and then
Yeah.
suddenly it's not, we can feel such a sense of failure that it can just cascade, can't it, into days of just not focusing. Whereas if we've got that flexibility in our head, we can just
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, this is a little bump. Okay, back on track.
Back
Actually,
on track, back on track. And, all of these webinars kind of, I don't want to do all our webinars in one, but they all interlink and overlap because we're also teaching you along this series, I hope, that you're taking away that you can really enjoy being on this weight loss journey. It doesn't have to be miserable. And this is really important to take away from this mindset business because it's vital that we are learning to really enjoy the food, the drinks, the lifestyle that we are starting to adopt. And that may seem uh, counterintuitive somehow or not what you're used to, that it always feels like restriction, but let's see how we can adapt that and how we build our plate. What was spoken about last week is a lot about that, about feeling full, not feeling starving all the time, that kind of thing, that we are learning to eat in a different way that fulfills us and nurtures us and nourishes us in a different way. But I won't go too much into that. We are talking about mindset here.
we
It's
love
very easy, sorry, to go off on tangents.
it's so kind. We've been doing these webinars for quite a while, and we still like those moments where we just like really want you to get it because this
Yeah.
is such an important step. So let's talk a little bit about your why, because this can often be missed or not really considered as deeply as we really would like you to. And this is one of the things that can keep you motivated during tough times and help us to prioritize what really matters to us. Understanding your reason or motivation for wanting to lose weight or to stay healthy or to, have a knee operation, whatever it is the fundamental thing that can make long-term changes in your life a little bit easier. We know that gaining weight doesn't happen overnight. It certainly didn't for me, and it certainly didn't for anyone else I've spoken to. So it's a series of things that happen in our lives over many years and habits that we pick up along the way that contribute to wherever we got to today. Your why is really important. It provides that anchor for keeping you on track when times are challenging. So, this is really important because it's funny, isn't it? We think we're going to start the new year with this whole new, everything's going to slot into place. My motivation's really high. And suddenly here we are, the 12th of January, and we're already beginning to wonder whether we've got enough motivation, whether we've got that drive and commitment, whether we actually can keep that focus. And it can really derail us. So, this is what keeps us in place. So you really want to figure out what your deep-seated reason is, your really highly emotional connection for why you're on this journey. And I think we have to dive deeper than I just want to lose weight. Because if it's all about just losing weight, then it's so easy to derail ourselves when we get on the scales and there's not the progress we're hoping to see, or we don't feel comfortable in our clothes and we somebody is saying in the chat box they're comparing their journey to somebody else's and they feel that they're not doing so well. Those are all the things that can absolutely derail us. So this is about thinking about what your emotional reason is for why you're on this journey, why you want to lose weight. It's different for different people and it needs to be deeply personal. We know from the behavioral science that our emotional connection to something that drives our behaviors is what is important to focus on. And that's really important for each and every person here to focus on what is important for them. It might be about having more energy, it might be about being able to be physically more active, it might be about your sense of vitality, or just focusing on something about your health for the long term. It might be that you've got some family predisposition to diabetes and you don't want to fall into that situation, which we know that can be, really, we can eat in the right way to actually maintain our physical health. It might be that if you're overweight, you're really noticing that your joints are giving you more trouble, you're having more aches and pains than you really would like. So if you were to lose weight, perhaps that's going to be the answer for you. Many people set off on a weight loss journey to improve their health. So it might be because of chronic disease, such as high blood pressure, inflammation in our joints, type 2 diabetes, really we need to understand what it is that is going to be the thing that is going to keep you focused. So, how to think about your why. We know that people can really struggle with this because we're so caught up with what the scales say that we almost find that to be our reason. What we want you to think about is what your deep seated reason is. So, why is this really important to you? Is it that you want to have more confidence when you're out socially? Is it you want to feel good in your clothes? Is it that you want to feel fulfilled? Is it you just want to feel really happy? What is your why? And there is this technique called the five whys technique, which is when you just keep asking yourself why. So you get an answer, you ask yourself why that is your answer, and you dive in a little bit deeper and you keep going till you get to the hub of what is going to keep you on track. And then once you've found that, write it down. Write it down somewhere for yourself, write it down for other people if you're happy to share it. Write it down and stick it up on your fridge or on a cupboard or in the front of a notebook or even as a note on your phone, wherever you're going to bump into it and remind yourself of it. Because even knowing it, we do need reminders as well. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that, Sam?
I think you've covered it, Ruth. I just think it's that deep-seated emotional reason. It's like an anchor point for you to keep coming back to. So if there are tricky times, if there are slip-ups, having an emotional hook that is, the reason you're doing this when there is challenge. Why am I doing this? Because I really want to feel better in my clothes. I want to feel more confident when I'm out and about, or whatever it might be. Make it when you frame it, when you write it down, write it positively as well. Not that I don't want to feel X, more I um I want to yeah, feel my best when I'm out socially, whatever it might be. You will frame it in a beautiful way, not like I just did, but you'll find a way that resonates with you. The key is it's so personal to you why you're on this journey, and we're framing this in a positive way so that it is a desire. It's something that you are moving towards, not moving away from. So that's really important.
Very much so.
So this slide is all about goals. So it is really helpful for us to set goals and linking those goals to your why. So your goals should reflect your deeper purpose on this journey. So maybe your why is to, for example, set an example for your children. Okay, that could be, I want to be uh, a healthy example to my daughter, my son, what have you. So if your why, that could be your overall why, to be that inspiration to empower someone else. Okay, so your goal might then lead on to being some kind of be in some kind of mentorship or community leadership role. Okay, a longer term goal. But the benefits of having short term goals is that you get that more immediate motivation. So you will see yourself achieving those small wins and boosting your confidence along the way to build that momentum. Okay. So it might be something as simple as completing a week of daily walks. Okay. And then you've done it. You've done 1 week and you can keep going. This also shows that it helps you to increase your consistency with those small manageable actions, which are much easier to stick with. Okay. Creating those healthy habits over time. So maybe 1 week, so you've got your daily walks, maybe 1 week you choose whole foods for a week. It helps you to and that's sort of avoiding takeaways, avoiding processed foods, convenience foods, that sort of thing. You really are making things from scratch. Maybe you do a week of meal planning or a few days, but it helps you to form those habits. And remember, we are thinking about understanding that there will be some front loading of effort here. If you're not used to meal planning, if you're not used to cooking things from scratch, or you don't often do it, this it takes a little bit of effort to start with, but this is where we start using that mindset, using those habit forming skills, um, and we start to see the benefit, and we start to, I set that goal and I did it, and we start to realize that we can do it, and we can build in those changes, and things can change, and we start to notice how we feel differently when we start to achieve our goals. Okay. So we can start feeling that sense of reward and we can start celebrating ourselves. And also, when we have those short-term goals, we have measurable progress. So we have clear markers of success that help us to stay focused. So maybe it is you completed the three uh, online yoga classes that you had planned to this week, and fantastic, that's tangible, and you can tick those off your list. And this reinforces our positive mindset. Success in those smaller goals cultivates confidence in that and that sense of I'm capable, I can do this. you know Maybe it's something like, I drank 5 glasses of water today, which, I normally have one, and, loads of coffees or what have you. And that's not unusual. So I hope that didn't sound facetious, but these are changes that will make a big difference to you and to your overall health journey as well as your weight journey. I think we have another poll for you at this point.
We do. Do you want me to? Oh,
There we go.
brilliant.
Yeah, there we go. So this is all about what you are measuring. So remember, the scales aren't everything. The scales can be useful, give us a bit of a can you say an objective marker, but actually there are lots of other markers measures we can use to measure our success on this journey, because some of us don't really like standing on scales, and sometimes the scales don't blooming move, but changes have occurred, and our clothes might fit differently, we might feel more energized, we might have less pain in our joints, we might notice for example, you might notice like clothing fitting differently. The other thing that sometimes we suggest to people is to have one of those, soft measuring tapes and sort of measure around the upper arms or around the thighs or even around the waist, just to see if there's change there if you wish to. But you could also do that with, you'll notice if your clothes are starting to feel a little bit different as you wear them. Um, but thank you everyone for filling in this little questionnaire. So we are measuring, so a lot of us are measuring weight, and that's fine. That is fine. And if you're comfortable with that, it's absolutely fine to do that. How clothes fit is a useful one. Energy and mood, some of us are tracking that. Habits and routine, some of us are tracking that too. So that's super great. Because yeah, we can noticing progress is a reason to celebrate ourselves when we realize, oh, this is a bit different. Oh, or someone, or maybe someone, you can get that affirmation from externally as well. Your friend or neighbor sort of says, oh, you know, you're looking well, or something like that. Or someone notices that there's changes. That's always a bit of a boost for us. And to acknowledge that and to recognize it and let it feed our motivation and let it feed us moving forwards with that positive mindset.
Definitely. And Elle says she thinks she's measuring all of those. So I think, these are the things we think. I think sometimes we can get so caught up on the weight that we know that can sometimes become a little bit derailing. Exactly what you're saying, Sam. If there's no shift in weight, then that can be really upsetting and actually can be the thing that maybe triggers some behaviors that perhaps we would rather we didn't see too often. So it's really worth just thinking outside the box and thinking, if you're somebody who is measuring weight, is there something else you could be tracking as well? Is it your energy? Is it your mood? Is it your zest for life? Is it how you feel when you wake up in the morning? Is it the quality of sleep that you're having? Is it how your stress levels feel? All of these things are really worth tracking because when we're on a health journey, actually all of those factors can come into some new level of being. We can eat to support our sleep. We can put in place all sorts of processes to help our sleep get better, which can again make a difference to our weight management and our weight loss. So all of these things become important. So maybe have a think about the things in your life aside from your weight, whether it's your mood, your energy, sleep, stress, body measurements, all of those things can be tracked. And I think it's really good to have something else that you can just keep a little eye on and see, because actually recognizing that what you're doing, somebody was saying earlier, joint pain was a big factor for them. So is it that actually you want to notice whether how you're eating is affecting the pain that you're experiencing in your joints? All of these can be really important. Morning energy levels can be a valuable indicator of our overall health and well-being. If we wake up about feeling refreshed and energized. It can reflect that we've had good quality sleep. It might be as a result of having really balanced food intake for the last few days and less sugar or less alcohol. Or maybe it's to do with our activity levels. Is anybody tracking their level of activity? Are they tracking how many minutes they're getting in a week? Those sort of things can be really helpful and put us on our own journeys, I think. And this is the thing we want you to do is it's great that you're supporting one another with your comments in the chat box, and we love that and we love hearing from you. But it's about your individual journeys, and actually it's about finding the things that you want to track and what makes a difference to you. And I think it's really important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these journeys are so individual. So finding what suits you, what is comfortable for you. Also remembering when we're tracking weight, some of us may be doing resistance exercise, building muscle and changing body composition, sort of recognizing also if you're building muscle, muscle is a little bit heavier than fat. So, if that body composition is changing, obviously it will reflect in the scales a little bit. But anyway, that's for
And Jane is saying that she's lost 4 stone, and obviously she's gone down dress sizes, but her biggest win is that her knee and joint pain and her feet just don't hurt after walking or shopping all day. And that's brilliant.
That's a huge win, isn't it? And it's really great to notice it and appreciate it as a marker of success. That's fantastic. And, really happy for you.
And Ella's swimming lengths and checking out how much time it's taking for those lengths. I think that's a great idea. It's sort of about your own journey and what's happening for you. Is your cardiovascular fitness improving? You'll notice that with your lengths and your swimming, I'm sure. So really,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this slide is about maintaining. So some of us here will be maintaining a weight loss that we have achieved. We've achieved our goal weight. Fantastic. Well done. But remembering that weight loss or maintaining weight loss is a skill, and it's about that consistency. And as we were saying before, it's not about rigidity and perfection, which we know does not exist. Um, and awareness matters more than that restriction. Small course corrections when we notice a little bump, that's okay. Forgiving ourselves, we've not done anything wrong. It's just acknowledging, being kind, it's not the end of the world, really not making a mountain out of that little bump of a molehill. It's just course correcting and getting back into our rhythm that we are trying to create, our habits that we are aiming to create so they become our new normal. Small course corrections are much easier than a big reset. Okay, and I think we all know that. Being kind to yourself really does keep you going because we know that this journey will present challenge, and many of us, including me, have gone around this wheel many, many times, and been up and down on the scales. But it's the consistency and it's that kindness and it's that 80/20, not being so rigid and really starting to enjoy the changes that we're making and the difference that it's making. For example, as we had that fantastic comment about knee pain, that's a real thing that can limit life in so many ways. And noticing how weight loss has changed that because of the physiological changes that occur, that's just fantastic. Um, yeah. Anything to add there, Ruth?
No, I think it's just when we're in that maintenance phase, it's about keeping the same, really resetting, thinking what your goal is now, thinking about what it is you want for maintenance for your health. If there's still things you want to improve, weight isn't the only tangible factor for our health. So I think we've got such a big view of weight in our society that it becomes almost like the predisposing factor. But I think it's about your journey, finding the things that's going to keep you on track. So just a reminder of what we're working for as a result of today's webinar is all about this whole flexible mindset. I am amazed that actually for me this is such a big shift. I had someone who suddenly came to stay at the weekend, and I was like really focusing on my health journey this week. New year, new resolutions, absolute determination in place. And instead of like derailing, I went out for the most delicious meal possible and just got back onto it. And actually, that flexible mindset is really important. And it makes you feel so different. You don't feel a sense of failure. So, I really want everyone to try and find that somehow. Really find out what your why is because that's so important. And remember to set those small goals because if we achieve a goal, we can feel so much better about ourselves. Even if it is going out for one walk this week, if that's something that's nothing that you manage to fit into your normal week, where can you just squeeze something in for yourself that's completely different? Or, even just soaking in a bath and taking some time out for yourselves is just also really important. So, do share what you're thinking you might do differently or what your why is in the chat box if you feel happy to. And just a reminder of the webinars that we have coming up over the next few weeks. I think we've got some new webinars happening also February, March time, so that would be exciting. And we'll be gradually giving you those dates as we go forward. We're now going to come to your Q&A session, so I'm going to stop sharing the slides. We do send out a link to the recording of this session, so you should receive an email with that over the next couple of days, hopefully tomorrow if all goes according to plan. And do let us know if there's any problems with that. So yeah, and we just wanted to check in before we come to the Q&A where you're all at in your journeys. It doesn't really matter, and there's no right or wrong here. It's just for our interest, really. So thank you for quickly sharing this poll with us. I can see around 65% of you so far have taken place, so we'll just leave it there for a couple more minutes. I can see the majority of you are midway through your weight loss journey, so well done for being here. And thank you so much for giving your time up on a Monday lunchtime. We really appreciate you being here as well. And I can see there's quite a few of you just starting out, and the lower number at the moment is our maintenance crew. But well done for being here and really happy to have you on board. If there's anything you need from us, any of you, please let us know. We're very happy to try and create more resources. We have a whole range of topics that we talk about across the series of the webinars. If there's something that you think is missing or we need to put more emphasis on, we're really happy to hear from you. So please let us know. The recording link will come out. So also on the recording link, that will be a link through to the YouTube situation where the recordings are held. You should be able to see previous recordings there. Yeah. And there's just a question in the chat box that I'm just happening to look at. So somebody's asking, Sam, if being sick constantly is normal. I'm assuming that being sick may relate to being on a weight loss medication. If you'd like to tell us a little bit more, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
There's a question here about when is the right time for surgical intervention, bariatric surgery. There's actually quite uh, strict or just quite clear guidelines on bariatric surgery. Um, if you think that that is a route you would like to go down, I think these days people are you might, and this might not be right for everybody, so this is quite a medical question. So it's something that you need to discuss with your GP, and whether you tolerate injectable medication or not is also another question to ask to find out about. I think um, you would need to ask your GP about it, but a lot of people are kind of forsaking the bariatric surgery options. It depends because I think the cutoffs are quite high for a BMI, but I don't know what situation you are in, and it might be the right option for you, but it's something to discuss with your GP. You could probably find out on the NHS website actually about bariatric surgery and what is recommended and at what stage that might be something that is advised.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so somebody's saying, thank you. This is the first webinar, really invaluable. So really good to hear. And yep, they're weekly, Mondays, 1 o'clock. And if it's a bank holiday week, we switch over to the Tuesday. So just so that we don't miss the week. Somebody is asking about excess skin. Is there anything they can do to help prevent that during their sort of weight loss journey? I think there are a few things around what we talk about. So Sam, I would say making sure that you're eating in a way that's consistent with health. So follow the core meal plan or the GLP-1 core meal plan. So I don't know if you don't mind sharing those links. That would be really good. So making sure you're really nailing the protein. so that you get the building blocks for collagen, which helps with skin elasticity, and those healthy fats again for skin elasticity and to prevent dryness, making sure you're staying hydrated. Um, those are really important. And then from the movement aspect, it is moving, but it's also doing that resistance and toning exercises. And we have a whole series of videos that we can share a link to. So I don't know if you don't mind sharing the exercise videos as well, link.
Yeah. And it's also, if you're on a weight loss journey, really thinking about that gradual progress. So it's not that fast weight loss is not what we are after here. And I know that there's a lot of media hype and complete garbage, frankly, on social media, etc., about fast weight loss and, miraculous results after 2 weeks on an injection. We're really not looking for anything dramatic. We really want to avoid that as much as possible because the body needs to reset. We talk about this a lot in our webinars about that gradual progress. Even if you're using an injector in weight loss injection, we're still looking for that 1 to 2 pounds loss a week on average. Some weeks will be slightly more, some will be slightly less, but that's the average that we're looking for because we know that the body can adjust to that sort of gently, and uh, it's not a shock to the system, if you like. If there's drastic weight loss quickly, the body goes into a bit of a panic in a way, but just it's a normal physiological reaction to the body thinking that it's starving. So we really want to kind of hammer that home. And I apologize if you've all heard me say that before, heard us say that before, but it's a really important point to get across that we're not looking for that um, dramatic change in weight because that's also in terms of skin laxity. Again, if you have big shifts, it's difficult for the body to adjust because these are all physical structures that need to adapt with us as we lose weight.
I think the only caveat for that is if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, you may find those first few weeks will be
Yeah.
significantly more, and that's okay. But as you come closer to a sort of BMI between sort of 35 and below that towards your goal, we really would encourage you to take it at that steady pace. It
Yeah,
will really help
that's
as
very true. Yeah.
Great. So somebody is asking if what's best to do at the gym. So we will share those weight loss videos with you. So we've hopefully done those, the exercise videos, we've shared that link. And we would say you can do your cardio either at the gym or by going for brisk walks if that's within your capability and your knees and feet are happy with that. But actually, when you're at the gym, I would be looking at using some weights or some resistance training to really build and support the strength of your muscles. And we know this is absolutely crucial, not only for weight loss. It won't necessarily get you losing huge amounts of weight, but it will really help with your body composition and with the maintenance of your muscle mass is so important for the maintenance stage of your weight loss journeys. So we want you to put everything in place so that when you get to your goal, you're going to stay there. That's what we want for you. We don't want this to be the yo-yo story. We want this to be the story of long-term success. And that is going to really help. And also mix it up, bring something different in, maybe get a couple of different programs going so that actually you don't get bored because bored
Mm.
is the killer for all of us, I think.
Yeah. And if you enjoy walking, you could do something as simple as having a resistance vest. Oh, sorry, what they call weighted vest, a
Yeah.
weighted vest to walk with. So then you add a bit of resistance training with your walking that you would normally do. So if you have a dog, wear a resistance vest when you're walking and not a super heavy one. It doesn't need to be very heavy. Just to increase that and for all the women that are here who might be going through menopause, that it's important for us as well uh to look at that adds a whole other dimension, but to look at our bone density as well, and for men also, as we are all aging. None of us are getting younger, but just to think about bone density as well, which helps with that when we do resistance training. And it doesn't have to be anything serious or frightening. It can be very simple exercises using the machines at a gym or, free weights if you feel a bit more confident and maybe have a bit of advice from one of the the
Those
gym
plans so you can
trainers.
get acting as well, just really
Yeah, body weight things as well, squats, marching on the spot, sort of push-ups against the wall. Again, Adna will kindly share the exercise videos where you can get some good ideas. Those are completely free to access on the Boots site, so please do dip in and get some ideas from there. Um,
couple of questions here, Sam, about the maintenance side of weight loss medication, which I think really important for us to address. As somebody who's got £7 left to lose, having lost 3.5 stone, and also somebody else is asking whether to stay on medication when you reach your goal or come off it before, or is it individual? So I'll hand those over to you, but it makes sense to do them both, really.
Yeah, so well done. Firstly, fantastic. You've lost 3.5 stone and you're sort of approaching your goal, which is great. So I completely understand being a bit nervous. So the advice that we give at Boots is to you have options. You can continue medic depending where you are. I'll just depending where you are, obviously it's individual to you, and I don't know the ins and outs of your particular story, but you can maintain on a dose of GLP-1, the one that you're on. You can reduce gradually. Obviously, there's a cost implication as well. So you might want to think about reducing the dose and seeing how you get on. And kind of, I can understand being nervous to come off because we know that the medication makes a difference to our appetite. So maybe a stepwise decrease as you're approaching your goal to see how you get on and how all the hard work you've put in to change your habits and the behaviors around food, around movement, sleep, stress, all of those things that we talk about, how they are when you have less of the drug in your system. So maybe just a stepwise decrease, just slowly, slowly reducing. Maybe as you're approaching your goal weight is a good time to think about this and to just give yourself a bit of leeway time to see how you feel and how your habits um, sort of almost test the strength of those habits and those new behaviors at this stage. But you've had 7 months to go into this, and to really embed these things, which is a great length of time, you know. So that's what I would say. And it's I think it's completely normal to be a little bit nervous. So I would go gradually. And then when you feel ready, you can stop the medication altogether. Um, yeah. Was that, sorry, there was a second question as well. Was
Yeah,
that
no, it was very similar. It was about the timing of stopping.
okay? Yeah. Yeah, it will depend on your provider. If you're a Boots Online doctor, customer, patient, just send us a message. We've got lots of advice to give you, but I hope that that helps. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, and really target that protein because there's some research suggests that protein in our food can really stimulate us to produce our own GLP-1. So you can start thinking about how your body is going to take over for you. And it's about really just being ready, recognizing that your appetite might increase slightly when you come off that medication and just being ready. So being prepared with those meal plans and really thinking, okay, this is how we're going to manage this. Make sure you're sort of really ready for that journey. It'll be another journey. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a new phase, and it's the phase that you want to, that's the phase you want to maintain. You don't want to have to go back on the injections if you can avoid it. So it's about embedding those habits in the first instance and just being kind to yourself, just step by step. Someone is sharing that they do spin bike and hula hoop every day. That sounds great. Spin is obviously a cardio exercise, which is fantastic. Hula hoop, I wonder if it's weighted. You can get weighted hula hoops. I was gifted one, which are pretty fun. Spin is great, but I would just say it's very cardio, which is fantastic for your heart health. Um, you might want to introduce something that has a bit of resistance, so a bit of weight um, to support building muscle.
even if
Um,
it's squats or wall press ups or some,
yeah, it could be body weight. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. Depends on your where you are on your journey, but it sounds like you're pretty fit and well. So maybe you could introduce some free weights or the machines at the gym kind of thing.
there's somebody who's saying that they've had a great week food-wise, but have had 2 or 3 days of no energy at all and feeling very weak. So I just wonder if you are managing to eat enough, or whether there's the opportunity perhaps to be thinking about re-looking at what you are eating over the course of the day, whether you're having enough whether that's working for you. And maybe I would say if your energy is really low, that is telling us that perhaps you aren't eating enough, or maybe there's something other going on in your body that's nothing to do with your weight loss journey. But I would always start by looking at your food, making sure you've got that protein and the fiber in, and seeing if that's holding you. We wouldn't expect if you're eating well to have zero energy. So there may be something going on with you there. So have a look and think about that. If you're taking a weight loss medication, it could be that your appetite's suppressed lower than you would normally expect it to be. And perhaps it's just really that you're finding it difficult to eat. So if that's the case, let your medication provider know and check in with them about your dose and their recommendation.
Yeah. There's a question about taking injections early if you're going on holiday. I would not take it early. If you are a Boots customer, I don't want to give blanket advice on this webinar. Sorry, it's about medication. So you will need to write into us, but please do not take it earlier than 7 days. It's a minimum 7 days between injections. But if you're a Boots customer, write in. That's we can very easily give you advice on that. Apologies, I can't really on an open forum like this.
Somebody says they're struggling with emotional eating and habit eating in week one. It's absolutely fine. We know that these habits are going to take maybe quite a long time to change. So if you've had that habit in your life for 5 years or 10 years, it's not going to change in a week. You can have all of the intention in place, and you need to just completely rethink how long this is going to take. Give yourself the flexibility that this is a journey. It's like learning a new language in many ways. So just learn this language in a completely new and kind way. And just every time you get it right, congratulate yourself. Every time you get it wrong, just use it as a learning experience for what you might do differently if you're hit with that same situation. So, is it that you're bored? Is it that you're tired? Is it just a habit that you have around a certain time of day? Just learn what's going on for you, and then you can put something else in place for the next time that situation crops up. And just be kind. Don't expect perfection overnight. None of us should be that unkind to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I've learned that one. So I think we can all hopefully learn that one.
We all know that perfection doesn't actually exist, and we've sort of it's a great rod to bash ourselves with, and it doesn't help anybody. There's a really good question here about how to deal with fear of failure. It sounds like that is a big one, and I think it's a big one for many of us. Not doing something because you're afraid of failing at it, and I guess it ties into what we were talking about with this fixed mindset or growth mindset, and to really explore that. And if it is, and you might notice it in other areas of your life, not just this weight loss journey that we are all on. And I would say if it is something that you really find holding you back in life, because it can very much so. I think we have, it can be all sorts of things, patterns from when we're children or at school or our families, etc. This sort of, failure is this terrifying thing that, you know, you can't recover from. When we look at I mean, I hate the word fail. The word failure is just an awful word because we never fail. Who in life has ever got every step right completely 100% of the time? We come back to perfection, which doesn't exist, right? We have we can develop this very unhealthy, unrealistic um set of rules for ourselves, I guess. I would say if that is a real problem for you, that unpacking it, because it will have come from somewhere, I would say unpacking it with a professional is probably the thing to do. Being kind to yourself, that there is no such thing as failure, that it's, when something doesn't go the way that we hoped, it's an opportunity to learn and grow from it, isn't it? It's reframing something that doesn't go right as, okay, well, what is this experience teaching me then? What can I learn from this? And so I don't repeat the same, you know, outcome that I didn't really want. Um, and okay, can I do something with this outcome that I've got? How can I make lemonade out of these lemons? And how can I get myself back on track? Um, it I do really appreciate what you're saying, and I hope that that is helpful. But if it is something that you find really stops you in life, maybe weight loss, maybe other things, I think that's worth that's really important to talk through with somebody if you possibly can. You could start with your GP and see where that takes you.
A couple of questions about sleep here. Somebody's noticing that when she has poor sleep, her motivation and choice of food isn't great. Cravings are intense. And what can you do when this happens? And also, somebody is saying that they're on a GLP-1 and having problems with sleep and open to any advice. So that goes really well together. So I think when we have poor sleep, we know that appetite can become very dysregulated. It's likely you'll be hungrier. It's likely you'll have bigger cravings. We know the research says that if you have poor sleep, you're likely to eat an extra 300 calories a day just because of that poor sleep. We have a whole webinar that we run just about sleep tips, so have a look at the replay for that. But I would start by really, in the morning when you've had a bad night, just do a protein-rich breakfast. It can be anything. It could be eggs, it could be nuts, it could be fish, it could be yogurt, it could be tofu, whatever your food preference is. Just nail that protein and have it with some vegetables for the fiber. Make sure you're drinking plenty. Try not to have a sleep snack in the day. Maybe do a little bit of an exercise snack occasionally when you're getting really tired and you're noticing the hunger. Maybe instead of having something to eat, just do a few squats or some wall press ups. Just switch it up as much as you can. And just really try and put into place the sleep hygiene routine that we talk about in the sleep webinar. So things like, going to bed at a set time, getting daylight on your eyeballs first thing in the morning, all of the things to help promote melatonin. Things like kiwis before bed, tart cherry juice can be helpful. Switching from caffeine from lunchtime onwards for some people makes a huge difference. So
Yeah, and turning off screens at a sensible time if you can. No screens at least an hour before bed.
definitely. So, and if you're noticing a huge effect from taking a medication such as the GLP-1 and you're really noticing it's affecting your sleep, then, and you're a Boots Online Doctor customer, please write in. We may be able to give you some more specific advice or look at what's going on for you in a little bit more detail. We're very happy to support you that way too, if none of the tips in the webinar that we're sharing make a difference.
Um, we've got a question here about from a lady has lost weight well, but she's struggling with the last half stone. Good BMI of 26, aiming for 10,000 steps a day. Diet's pretty good, mainly tips to tweak the diet. So I would have a look at the core meal plan. That will really help you to build your plate and give you some other ideas of what you can how you can switch it up and think about having a diverse diet, different vegetables, and making sure you've got protein in every meal. I would really look at weight bearing. You're doing 10,000 steps a day, fantastic. Maybe for you a weighted vest is a really good idea because it could just add in that little bit of resistance with the steps you're already doing. So it's not extra time, it's just adding something. And I really would go for like a low weight vest. I think like 2 kilos is fine. It's just a an addition. You're just giving yourself, it's a bit more of a challenge. And you will notice that if you're doing that many steps, you will notice an extra 2 kilos on your on a vest. So that might be a good idea for you. Do check out the core meal plan. It sounds like you're doing all the right things. Sometimes when we're reaching our goal, remember to put in some smaller goals on the way to your goal weight. So, you know, split it up so you're not necessarily looking at sort of the main goal. You're looking at that sort of week by week change, and the little achievable things. So it doesn't feel so daunting. I think that could be really helpful for you.
Yeah, and maybe reframe, look at what your body composition's doing. Have a look, see if you can, check in with a gym, do some look at some of those sort of weight scales, which actually look at body composition. See if there's some work that could be done there around that whole fat mass and muscle mass, because that could make a huge difference. Just see what's going on. And also, don't forget, muscle does weigh heavier than fat. So, actually it may be that you are really doing well and you're where you need to be anyway. So let's just see. Let's
Yeah.
reframe. Somebody's asking for our three top tips for gut health. So I love gut health, so I'm just
You take that one.
So I think eat and rest in between your food. It's really important to have time to rest and digest when you're eating. Chew well. And then I think variety of foods is really important. If you're struggling with your gut, it could be that you're always eating the same foods because they're the ones you can tolerate, but try and build that up, even if it's adding in herbs for flavor, all of those things. And then don't forget the fermented foods. Some people tolerate them really well, others don't. And we have a whole webinar. We only really run that about once a year on gut health, but there will be a replay for you somewhere. And we will run it once or twice in the next year, I would imagine, which is fun.
So, thank you, Ruth. There's a question here about the five whys. To go over it. So, as an example, Ruth, could you give an example of the five whys? Because it should be a different answer every time, not the same answer.
Oh gosh, that's really tricky. Thank you for putting me on the spot.
Well, I was just thinking, I was like, okay, so
Okay.
why do I want to lose weight? I want to be thinner, let's say. Um, why? Why do I want to be thinner? Because I think I will be healthier. Okay, why do you want to be healthier? Because I have diabetes in my family and I don't want diabetes. So I want to be healthier. Okay, so why is that important to you? I want to um I want to live a long and healthy life without all the encumbrance that comes with diabetes. You could, do you see what I mean? So you could keep on, you could ask why more than five times, and that there
Yeah.
might be more things actually. There could be another reason, like, oh, I actually want to feel more confident when I'm um, at the beach or whatever, on holiday,
Me, it's
whatever it might
wearing a
be.
wetsuit, it's fitting in the wetsuit, wearing the wetsuit, get to go in the water, being able to get back off the beach, all of those things. It's sort of like for me,
Yeah,
it's one of my biggest whys is apart from all the usual health things. But yeah, that's one of my passions in life is just being able to do those water sports. So for me, that's becomes easier because you can just keep drilling down. I think make it about you, make it about something that's really deeply emotionally connected to you.
yeah,
If you've had family people with health problems that you want to avoid, that can be an emotional reason. It can be that you want to climb some mountain somewhere. That can be your reason. It could be that actually at the moment you struggle to walk very far and you want to start walking much longer. It's about you. So it's difficult, but hopefully that's helpful. Is it good to cut carbs, rice, pasta, bread in the most part? Interestingly, and I haven't told you this, but I emailed somebody who had written a really interesting research paper that I couldn't get hold of. And I was looking at the percentage of protein and fat and carbohydrates. And his response was that we really don't need grains, particularly as a human race. And I think there is something to be said for that comment that he made. He's obviously a very profoundly intelligent person. I think if you're really struggling to find the way to make that weight loss happen, it's really worth thinking about those carbs being something that you use to support that really intense exercise. So it may be the little bit of carb to help, and also a little bit of help. Carb for sleep can be helpful for some people. So we probably don't want to lose it completely, but we can minimize it.
yeah,
I'm one of those people that actually bread and weight loss don't go hand in hand. I know I have to find a way of getting that bread out of my life. So yeah, we're all different.
yeah. We're all different, and we have to, you know, I think we advise low carbohydrate, not no carbohydrates. I think, I think no carbohydrate is difficult. And by carbohydrates, we mean those sort of rice, bread, pasta, potatoes. I guess that's what we're talking about. Um, and remembering that carbohydrates are long chain sugars. Basically, they break down into sugar in the gut. That's um, why they give us energy quickly and why they are very useful, but also remembering that there are vegetables that have more carbohydrate than others. For example, carrots or parsnips, these sort of root vegetables, which tend to be sweeter, do contain quite a lot of carbohydrate as well. So you're not cutting things out completely. You will still get some carbohydrate, you'll still get energy from those things, but with the carrots and parsnips, you'll get lots of other things too. You'll get the vitamins and minerals, and you'll get the fiber as well with those. So, maybe making swaps out for those is quite useful. For example, I think you can buy it now over the counter. You can make it yourself, obviously, like mash with carrots and parsnips instead of with potato, or you can have cauliflower rice, which is, sort of finely chopped up cauliflower instead of rice itself. So there are lots of options, and thinking about the sort of wholemeal options when you can, brown rice or whole wheat bread or sourdough. There are other options that which are more slowly digested as well, because we're always thinking about glucose in the background. There's sort of glucose spikes and the glucose. Our sugar, our blood sugar levels in the background. So if we have, say, a bowl of white rice, it gets metabolized very quickly, and you will get a sugar spike. Um, Whereas if it was brown rice, that would be much slower, because the fiber that comes with that brown rice will be much slower for the body to process. Um,
Um,
yes,
I
sorry.
can see somebody said sourdough, sourdough, sourdough. We've got one more minute and we're going to have to go because we have a meeting very shortly. I'm so sorry about that. Thank you for the positive feedback. We really like it. And we do have a feedback form. If you could share that, Adna, that would be really brilliant. Do take a couple of minutes to fill that in if you can. There will be a link in the chat box any second now, hopefully. Really helpful for us to get some really clear feedback. So thank you. Um, Somebody's asking about water. Just fill a jug or fill a water bottle. Make sure you know how much is in there and use that as your barometer. Use your urine. Make sure it's not concentrated. And thank you, Adna, for filling in the feedback form, or not filling in, for sharing the link. So if you're still here and you've got a couple of minutes, please download the form and give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate it. Sorry we haven't had time to come to all of your questions today. Hopefully we've covered the vast majority. We will be back next week. I think from what I can remember, we are going to be looking at how to eat for weight loss, which is just as important as what we eat. So do join us for that. Uh,
Yes, I'm going to answer one question very quickly. Someone's asking about seated exercises. On the exercise video, there are seated exercises. So that's an excellent question. And we know that everyone here will be at different levels of ability. Please do have a look at the seated exercises on our exercise video series. It'll be really helpful to you. But
don't
yes,
go
we
for
must dash.
it. Yeah, take care, everyone. Have great weeks. Look after
Yeah,
yourselves. And remember, this is the 80% rule, no perfection required.
yes, absolutely. Bye, everyone.